Hey guys, this is Locke. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Kakoa. In the official Sword of Convallaria's Twitter, they actually posted a video about Kakoa, so I believe that she will be the next hero to feature on the debut banner. There's already been quite a bit of chatter about her, and I was able to find some information about her skills and her build on the Chinese Wikipedia that I translated using Google Translate. A lot of the chatter that I've been hearing is that you really need to get her at 5 stars. She is not that great at 1 star, and so on and so on. So I thought that I will start the discussion there. Is she really needed at 5 star, and how good is she at 1 star, and so on and so on. So first of all, let's look at what her skill, like a trait, does. So at the 5th trait, uh, she gets an increase in HP. She gets block. And then she gives her two allies with the lowest HP something called breakfast. Breakfast, and here it's not, the translation isn't great, but it says breakfast, convenient. Both of these are buffs that grant HP and dispel one negative effect. Convenient says that it also grants more HP and dispels two negative effects. I'm not sure why it says both, but the biggest thing with her trait is that after the effect is triggered at the 5th star, the target will gain something called happiness. And happiness is something that reduces the cooldown by 1 and also reduces the energy consumption by 1. So if you have a hero that needs 2 energy to cast a skill, now that will only require 1 energy to cast a skill. This effect is so good, the happiness effect is so good that one tarot does the exact same thing, but to use it, you actually have to be on standby. So it's a huge detriment to actually get that effect to proc, and you're also using a potato slot. But here you're getting it on a trait for free, right? And you can have it on 2 heroes, and you can basically get it in use every single turn. So this is huge. The happiness is the main part of the trait that you really want to focus on. And if you look at it, up till, like, even if you look at the 4th star, you only have a 30% chance to gain happiness. The chance to gain happiness doesn't change from the 1st star to the 4th star. That's why a lot of people are saying, you know what, you really have to get her at the 5th star. And I agree that she does become, extremely powerful going from the 4th to the 5th star. At the 1st star, you only have one character that gains the effect, and then at the 3rd star it goes to 2 characters, and then but it always stays at 30%. I don't know why they did it that way, because I wish they would have done it that it starts at 30%, then it goes to, like, I don't know, 45, 50, 70, and then 100 or something. But unfortunately they decided to do it such that the main, like, the power from this thing is backloaded. You really get it at the 5th star. So what does that mean? So while I agree that she does become extremely powerful at the 5th star, I don't think she's useless from the 1st to the 4th star. Like, even if you ignore the trait completely, I believe she still has quite a bit of use, and she's still quite powerful to use with the rest of her skill set, even if you ignore the trait. So let's just take a look at the rest of the skill set and what they do to get a better understanding of her. So her innate skill, I actually really like the names of the skills. They're so funny. So her innate skill, Eat My Pot, it's a single target damage, and it applies physical defense down 2 and speed down 2. If we combine that with her level 1 skill, which is Smashing Smash, that applies Vulnerability 2 for 3 turns. So right away, with these two skills combined, you can get physical defense down and vulnerability down, and they both stack. So just with those two, if you don't have a character that already does that, which I don't, because all the characters I'm using, they don't actually have vulnerability down. So just the two of those together on one character would mean that you can dish out a whole lot of damage with your whole team, as long as it's physical damage. But even magical damage will make use of vulnerability, right? Like, if you pair this with Edda, and now whoever is taking the damage, like if it's a boss, even if it's a magical, if you have a magical team and you're applying magical damage, Edda plus Smashing Smash which I believe the Smashing Smash is also on other characters as well. But still, like, these two together does help you to do a lot of damage to the boss. So you have a tanking character because she's a tank. She's a green color hero. It's a tanking character. She has more HP and more defensive builds, but she's able to, do a bunch of other stuff, but also enable your entire team to do a lot more damage. That's the first thing that she can do. If you keep going and look at the rest of her skill set, so this is, I mean, it's a funky name. That when the enemy comes, the pot will stop him. But really, what this is the guard skill. Like, the cover guard skill that your heroes have. That whenever your enemy, one of your like, say, squishy heroes is taking damage, your tanker switches with that. Like, your tanker covers that hero and takes the damage for him. This is basically that skill. So it's again with the same range, within 2 range, it takes damage for your character. That's what this does. So it's a good skill to have for tankers. Magnus doesn't have it, and I wish he did because I just feel like most tankers should have it. So I believe that's basically the standard guard skill. This skill is very interesting because you can choose one of 4 skills. I'm not going to go into the detail of this, but I did look into them. One of them is like a basic heal, like it's 25% heal. The second one is a higher heal, like 45% heal. And also the third one dispels all the debuffs on your character. And then the fourth one does damage. But it's the versatility that you get from this is really interesting because you can specialize your Kakoa in the battle itself. If you need a secondary healer that does a lot of healing frequently, you can pick the first skill from this, right? But if you're fighting a boss fight or something that you just need to do as much damage as possible and you have enough passive healing or something, then you can maybe even pick the fourth skill. If you're fighting somebody that does a lot of debuffs, you can pick the third skill. So it's a very interesting kind of skill that gives you so many options. One of these actually, I believe the second skill also lets you give energy to someone when you're using the skill on them. It's a very interesting skill all around. If you look at the 5th skills, this one is something that we already have. It just reduces the damage from range attacks. But this one, try harder. Interesting name again. So this one, whenever you get hit, Kakoa heals herself, but also heals your ally with the lowest health within 2 squares by 12% of the caster's heal. So even if you have somebody next to Kakoa that has, like, is a squishy character and doesn't have a lot of health, Kakoa will heal for 12% of Kakoa's health. So if you're building Kakoa, make sure if you have a high HP pool, this heal will be even bigger. So I like the skill. I think it's pretty cool. Other heroes have some kind of damage reduction on their reactionary skill, and Kakoa does as well, like this one, but it's only for range attacks. But this is interesting because there are ways to get damage reduction on Kakoa, right? So like you can get taros, you can get equipment, you can get the resonance effect. Those are all things that you can put on Kakoa to increase the damage reduction. And then on top of that damage reduction, Kakoa will heal again for 12% whenever she takes damage. So I believe it pairs well with that damage reduction to make sure Kakoa is on the battlefield longer. And in addition to that, she's also healing one of your allies as well. She heals one of your allies within 2 spaces for 12% of her own HP. I think it's a great skill. So this one is the Wilder, however you say it, banner. It's a standard one, gives you attack by 10% and defense by 20%. I believe Iggy has the better one, I think. I'm not too familiar with the Wilder ones, with the older heroes, but this is a standard. I mean, if you're running a team that's full of these guys and you don't have Iggy or don't have anyone else who can provide that aura, I guess you could use it. But most of the time, I don't think this is the skill that you would be using. The block enhancement is very situational because what this does is, well, the first thing it does that if it's a long range attack, a long range physical attack from the front or side, there's a 100% chance to block. Otherwise, I believe it's only a 50% chance to block. And what does block do, by the way? Block um, reduces the damage taken by 10%, I believe. I'm trying to find the text for it. Okay, yeah, so there's a 20%, so it reduces the damage by 20%, and it's a 50% chance to get that effect. That's what block does. So what this skill does, block enhancement, that chance goes from 50 to 100% as long as you're taking the attack from the front or the side, and it's a physical long range attack. And then the damage reduction from block also increases by an additional 10%. But this is situational, like it has to be a ranged physical attack, right? Maybe it's useful for boss fights that only does range physical attacks. That's a good case to use it. And you do get an additional 10% damage reduction as well, but it is situational because I believe that she has so many other very useful skills that this is probably only one that you're going to use in situations where you really need to, because you just, I don't know, it's situational. Let's keep moving. So the ninth, the basic skill, this one is really, really strong, in my opinion, the don't look back skill. So what this does, you have a 70% chance to inflict stun on the target when you attack from behind. That is huge, like 70% chance to stun. And on a basic attack, you're not using any energy to use this. You just go whack them on the head from behind, and they're 70% chance to stun them. The only caveat here is that the effect can only last. You can only cast this effect one time on an enemy. So if you stun somebody on the first turn, for the rest of the battle, you cannot stun that character again. But just being able to stun, like after you stun them, I mean, you have one extra chance to kill them before, they can attack you. I think that's huge. And especially on things like the tower, this is going to become very handy because there's going to be a lot of enemies that you have to fight at the same time. And I can easily see this being really, really useful. The other skill is better situated for boss fights. This is basically going to apply physical defense down 1 and magical defense down 1 for 2 turns. Yeah, this is, like as I said, this is useful for boss fights because against bosses you can't really stun them anyway. So this would be, if you're going to be only fighting boss fights, you might be able to take armor break to apply these defense breaks on the boss. But I think most of the time I would probably be going with this because I think stun is just so strong, and you're getting it on a normal basic attack, and it's a huge percent. Like I've seen the basic attacks that do sleep effect, and you only get a 30% chance to sleep, right? But this one, 100%, it's 100% attack, 70% chance to stun, which is stronger than sleep. I don't know. It seems really crazy to me. And then on the 11th level, so both of these skills are very, very strong. This is when you turn level 55. So this one, Iron Parts 2, all the heroes within 3 tiles of you, your heal, you cast a heal for 30% of the caster's HP. Caster's HP is stronger than hero's HP because, I mean, this is a tank. So the assumption is that a tank will probably have more HP than your other heroes. So, you're healing them for more than 30% of their HP most of the time. And then in addition to that, you also get critical hit 2 and critical damage 1. So you're going to boost the critical hit ratio of your heroes. I believe it's by an additional 20%, and then critical damage as well. So not only are they going to do critical hits more often, but those critical hits are going to hurt a lot more as well for 2 rounds, and it has a cooldown of 3. So on the turn that the effect is gone, you can cast it again. It's a very, very strong skill. And what does Bento mean? These are like, the translations on some of these are weird, but Bento is the same thing that we looked at before on the trait. The healing over time and dispelling of debuffs. That's what Bento does. The same thing that we read before, the breakfast effect or something. Sometimes the translations use different words to describe the same thing, but that's what it does. And so yeah, I really like the skill. I think this is great. I really like more sources of critical hit because some heroes have absolutely no chance to crit. They have like zero crit in their build, or some have just enough to get them to like 50% or something. So I'm always on the lookout on how to improve their critical hit because they do so much more damage. They have critical damage in their kit, but they don't have critical hit in their kit. So anyway, I really like the skill. And the other skill, this is the skill that makes the Papal Guard so strong because it gives them damage reduction 4, which reduces the damage they take by 40%. It's a cooldown of 5, but it lasts for 3 turns. It also does other things as well, but the damage reduction is what's really, really strong about it. And so you have another hero that has the exact same skill at level 55. The other guard gets it earlier, the Papal Guard, but at level 55 you're able to get it. So you can build Kakoa to be a very strong defensive tank. Like she has the skill, which is damage reduction 4. She has what is it? She has the block enhancement if you need it. Not this one. This one, the block enhancement if you need it, to make her blocks stronger. And then she also has, these two skills that I talked about, so to enable your team to do a lot more damage. She has this skill to serve as a secondary healer, like, a clutch healer in addition to your main healer, but also let your team do a lot more damage, right? So just having her in our team, with like, say, these three skills, like you can have Iron Pots too, and you can have, Eat My Pot and Smashing Smash. I'm sure the names will probably change when it comes to global, but from these three skills, your team is just going to do a lot more damage just having Kakoa, who's a tank, on your team. In addition to that, you can change things around to have the skill to let her have more defense. She's also going to have more healing from her reaction. You're going to have this skill over here, which does a bunch of stuff. You can do more healing if you want, more damage if you want, more debuff removal if you want, like a lot of stuff, right? And then, I mean, to top it off, if you're really going to play a Wilder team, she also comes with the banner if you really want to go that way. So all in all, she does so many things, and don't forget the basic attack that has 30% chance to stun. Again, another like huge boon to her. So as I said, all in all, she does so many things that even if you have her at the first star, she's still going to be very useful. Like I was initially planning on skipping her banner, just because when I read about that happiness, that it would go up to 5th star, I said, okay, that's going to take a long time because even if I'm farming 3 shards a day and I need 300 shards, that's going to be 100 days, 3 months. So in 3 months, like, I don't know what the meta will be. I don't know who's going to be out by then, and I might like change who I'm playing, right? So I was initially skeptical on Kakoa because I said, okay, I don't really want to wait 3 months to really get, to really make use of her. But then going through her skills, I realized that even at 1 star, I will be using her anyway because she just does a lot for the team. That, especially this last skill here, like I feel like this is like the clutch skill that I really need. I really needed something to make my critical hit guys stronger because a lot of the heroes I run are based on critical hit. It'd be great to have them at 100% crit hit, which I think I can achieve with this. And then in addition to that, she gives critical hit damage 1 as well, so she increases their damage output completely. So yeah, I mean, and just I think most, if I'm gonna run her, I'll probably use this skill, I'll probably use this one, and then I'm not sure on the third one. It'll really depend. I might go with Smashing Smash, and run that way, or if I need somebody with more, or if I'm running into a stage where I need more healing or something, I would probably go with this treasure box skill to give myself more healing. But I don't really see a downside to her. Like I feel like when you get her at 1 star, you're gonna have a fantastic character that can do a bunch of things that you're gonna take into a lot of different stages and do a lot of stuff with. And in 100 days after that, whenever you get to the 5th star, she's gonna do even better. You're gonna get a hero that, like, I don't know, went to the went through the butterfly cocoon something and came out a butterfly. This is a corny joke I guess I'm making, but I hope you see the point. Like, she's already a really strong hero and she's going to get even better at the 5th star. But let's talk about that for a second too, by the way, because um, for me, the stronger of these two effects is the cooldown reduction. Like, I think that's even stronger than the energy reduction, because there's a lot of ways to give a hero one energy. Like, I mean, in a clutch, you can even use the tactics skill that'll give heroes one energy what you need them to, right? And there's other heroes like Gloria, for example, that have a skill that gives everybody in an AoE one energy. But that cooldown reduction is really hard to come by. But the good thing about the cooldown reduction is that oftentimes you only need it to proc once to have a significant effect. For example, suppose we're looking at Edda. So Edda has 3 good skills, which all have a cooldown of 4, and you can use them all on the first turn. So Edda casts all 3 skills on the first turn and then stands next to Kakoa. So on the first turn, Kakoa's skill does not hit because you only have a 30% chance it doesn't apply. On the next turn, you're lucky enough to get it, and that probably is enough because Edda's skill, if you cast her skills once every 3 turns, the duration of her skill is enough. Like, if you're able to cast it once every 3 turns, that's great. You have like no turns where she doesn't buff, right? So you might not even need to use Cocoa like happiness buff every turn. Like, you might not need that cooldown reduction every turn. I'm sure if you have it every single turn, you can work builds to maximize it, because like you might have like a 5 turns cooldown skill being used every 3 turns or 2 turns from being guaranteed that Cocoa's skill will take effect, right? You could do that. But there's probably going to be a lot of situations and a lot of characters where you benefit just from having a single turn cooldown from like any of the turns that she's cooling down. Like, Edda's skill has a cooldown of 4. On any of the 3 turns after using the skill, if this effect applies once, you're probably really happy. Like, you don't need it to take effect every single turn to make use of it. So with that in mind, right, like with the happiness, like, that the happiness buff will still be useful even if it doesn't take effect every single turn, and then that coupled with all the other useful skills that she has here, like, it's really hard for me to find a reason not to pull on Kakoa. I think she's just really, really great. Maybe the only reason I could find is that maybe you just don't like the character. Maybe you just think that as a character, she just doesn't look great, or she sounds boring, like the playstyle. If the playstyle is boring, yeah, don't pull on it, because you're gonna have a hard time. Like, if everyone's saying this is the best character to pull on her, and then you look at it and say, I don't really want to, then don't do it, because you're gonna hate playing something that you don't want to and you're forced to. So always try to pull for characters that you really like. That's the first rule in any of these kind of games. Otherwise, you're gonna get bored. But if you're looking for like a strong character, one that can do a lot of things, and one that, like, the names of these skills just seem so cool, and this is interesting. She has like a pot that she just like hits people with as her weapon. It's just so interesting and funny. It's very like a great comedic effect. But anyway, this is my review on Kakoa. I think I think she's really, really strong. Like, the way that they built her, and as soon as I get her, she will be my first priority to get shards for. I think of all the heroes in the game, she has the highest priority of any of the existing heroes right now to get shards, because, I mean, as you've seen, the 5th star level, the 5th star effect is just so strong. So that's my opinion. That's my review on her. If there's anything I missed, and especially if anybody's able to tell me more about what the difference between this breakfast and the lunchbox is, maybe there's a chance to get breakfast and a chance to get lunchbox, because the breakfast HP says 15%, lunchbox says 30%, and lunchbox also later over here is translated into bento. So maybe I'm assuming there's a chance to get either breakfast or lunch. I don't know. Maybe somebody can tell me that in the comments. I would appreciate it. But other than that, yeah, I seriously think she's a very strong character. But let me know what you guys think. Are you guys gonna pull for her? And if you're not gonna pull for her, let me know why, because I would really like to know. Maybe it's like you don't like the character, or maybe you're playing a union team and you don't see how she can fit into a union team. So all reasons that make sense. Just let me know what your thoughts are, and I would love to hear it. Anyway, that's it for this review. I hope I will see you guys next time. Take care now.